Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Recap. So, the month of March has come and went, and overall, it was a little more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Because, after I did my February recap, I just thought, okay, for March, I'm basically going to talk about two movies, and that's about it. But no, some other stuff happened that I didn't expect, that wasn't on my radar, that I was like, oh, well, all right then. I have a bit more to talk about. So, yeah, we're going to cover the whole month of March. And as usual, I'm going to be comparing my predictions to what actually happened, like on the numbers, just for the fun of it, just to see how right I was or how wrong I was, because it's just fun. So let's get started. So March 4th, surprise, surprise, the Batman made money. In a result that should shock absolutely no one, the Batman made big money. It made blockbuster money, as it was always going to. So yeah, with my prediction, I predicted it would open between 130 and 140 million, and I was dead on with my prediction because it opened with $134 million, easily the second biggest opening weekend of the pandemic era, first being No Way Home with like 260. And this opening weekend right here is more than any Warner Brothers movie made total last year. So in 3 days, the Batman made more money than every other 2021 Warner Brothers movie. More than Dune, more than Godzilla vs. Kong, more than Space Jam 2, Matrix 4, The Suicide Squad. So, Mortal Kombat. So that's kind of crazy, but it also shows you that that whole experiment was kind of stupid and you sacrificed a lot of potential dollars just to boost your subscription service, or like your just boost subscribers for your streaming service. And with the Batman, it's going to be on HBO Max like mid-month, I think the 19th of this month. So that's what they should have done in the first place, but they didn't, and what happened, and yeah. And for its total, I predicted between 350 and 400 million, and it's already past 350. So it should ultimately end up between 350 and 400, somewhere in that range. That's guaranteed to happen. So am I surprised about this? No. Not at all. I mean, this is the first live action solo Batman movie in a decade since the Dark Knight trilogy ended. We got a new Batman in the form of Robert Pattinson. We have some characters coming back to the big screen like Catwoman and Riddler and Penguin. The trailers looked very good. Warner Brothers advertised the hell out of this movie. They were nonstop with their ads, and it was positioned as the first big movie of 2022. So all the stars aligned for this movie, and it worked out great. And also helped that the movie was also really, really good. So yeah, I'm expect sequels. I know there's a Penguin HBO Max series in the works. So yeah, it seems like Warner Brothers have their new Batman, and a lot of people seem to like him, even though everybody memed on him for being emo. And yeah, Bruce Wayne is could be a real emo in this movie, but yeah, Robert Pattinson's Batman, I call it a success, and it'd be hard to disagree with that. So yeah, the Batman made a lot of money. Easily the biggest Batman movie not called or not featuring the words Dark Knight or The Dark Knight. So yeah, not surprised about that result one a bit. It was like the easiest thing to predict the whole month. So yeah, that was the first weekend of March. Now the second weekend of March, Turning Red was supposed to come out theatrically, didn't. Instead, they dumped it onto Disney Plus, which pissed off a lot of people, especially the people who worked on the movie, which I believe is justified. But so we can't talk about that. But what I want to talk about is this BTS concert thing that happened that Saturday, the 12th. I want to talk about that because this is one of the things that caught me off guard. Okay. Now here's the thing. I don't listen to K-pop at all. I'm not I'm not a fan of K-pop, never listened to it. But I do know who BTS are. I am familiar with who they are. Okay, I think they're like the biggest K-pop group out there. And I was surprised to see that their little concert thing, which only was debuted for one day, that's Saturday. And the tickets were like super expensive. Like we're talking like $30+ to see this like movie concert. But and it was only like an 800 theaters, but apparently a lot of people in the US really like K-pop and it made like almost $7 million that one day. Which hell that one day is more than some of the movies that came out this year made in their opening weekends. So that's kind of crazy. And I guess this shows a few things. One, don't underestimate K-pop. And two don't underestimate like a very hardcore fan base. And three, you know, if the musical group is a draw, don't underestimate them either. Because if the group is popular and people are willing to pay money for it, it's gonna be a hit, and it was a hit. So yeah, I just want to mention that because I thought it was really interesting. So now to the 18th. Four movies opened wide, but only one really did great, and that movie is Jujutsu Kaisen Zero. Now this number here, it's not accurate, it's not updated, it's actually above 30 million domestic, but I will fully admit I goofed very hard in my prediction. I thought it would open between like 5 to 10 million. It opened with like I think 17. It says 18. So, yikes. And I thought it would make between like 10 20 million total. It did that its opening weekend. So again, another yikes. Yikes for me. But again, predicting anime is hard. You don't know if that group is going to show up or not. But I really should have known better because Jujutsu Kaisen Zero and Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole, I know has a fan base, strong fan base with like anime and the whole manga. The manga is like one of the best selling mangas in history. So I really shouldn't have been surprised to see it do as well as it did. And as I did predict, it opened big and fell off hard. It fell like 75% its second weekend, which is not great. But again, I fully predicted that. But yeah, like with this movie, it's proof positive that anime is a draw. People like anime. People like Japanese things. Like Japanese video games, anime, manga, all that jazz. People like it, people will pay for it, and that audience will continue to grow. So, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, congratulations. You're like the second biggest winner of the month besides the Batman, so congratulations. So, that was like the big story of that weekend. Now, for the rest, it's not as interesting. Not at all. Next, we have the outfit, which I knew wasn't going to do great. I predicted it would open between like 1 to 3 million, and it hit right in the middle of that. Well, not really. It did like 1.5 million, which is very bad, obviously. And it's so far it's made 3.2 million, so it has not reached my total prediction of 4 to 6. And judging by its box office, it's not going to reach 4. So that's kind of a little disappointing. But again, I knew this was going to happen. Old people just have not been going to the theater. And this movie was just, it barely opened wide. It was like a little over 1,000 theaters. No one cared. It got like no advertising, no publicity, no nothing. So this result shouldn't surprise anyone, really. So yeah, yeah, that's the outfit. Next up we have Amma, another result that shouldn't surprise anyone. It did bad, but I was right with my prediction though, because my prediction, I predicted between 500,000 and $1 million. That was as high as I was willing to go, and it hit $900,000. So yay me, I got something right. And as you would expect, the movie plummeted hard after that. It's now made like 2 million, which was actually my final prediction number, like $2 million. So again, I was at A+ on accuracy. But yeah, this result doesn't surprise me. This movie had like no advertising at all. It literally just debuted, like it got its release date mere weeks before it was supposed to come out, which is usually a terrible sign. Because with movies, ideally you want to advertise them like months, even a year in advance to get that advanced buzz so that everyone knows it exists. When you do it like a few weeks before movie comes out, no one knows it exists. Pretty much. It's on like super short notice. And okay, some movies have been able to get away with that. Like 10 Cloverfield Lane. That movie didn't exist to the public until January, and that movie came out in March. All right. But the thing is, people gave a damn about that movie. Nobody cared about this. So, yeah, I'm not surprised it tanked. It had everything going against it. So, yeah. So that's Amma. And the last movie that came out the 18th is X here from A24. Now, my prediction, I predicted it would open between 3 to 5 million. Originally, I was like, maybe 5, but then I lowered it to like 3 to 5. Well, I was right to lower it because it hit 4 right in the middle. So I was fairly accurate there. And so far, it has reached $10 million. And I predicted it would reach like 10 million total. So it might inch past that just by a little bit. So that's good, I guess. Yeah, it should be able to inch past that. I planned on watching it, but it just never happened. I've heard it's really good though. Maybe in the future I will watch it because I've heard it's really good. And you know, A24, they've been having a quite the interesting year. I mean, there's this, and then there's like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I will talk about a little bit later. Although I'll go into more detail with that when I do my April recap. But yeah, you know, for a very small budget horror movie, did pretty well, I would say. Like 10 million for a movie like this, not too bad, not too shabby. So, yeah, X, you did good. Not great, but you did good. You at least you did better than the outfit in Alma. You at least did that. So that's it for the 18th. Now, what's weird about the 18th is that two other movies were supposed to come out this day, and they just never materialized. One of them was like Operation Fortune, a Guy Ritchie movie with like Jason Statham. That was supposed to come out on the 18th, and then mere weeks before it was supposed to come out, it just disappeared. It was gone. It's now in the ether somewhere. And who knows what will happen to that. Mainly because it's from Styx Entertainment. They've been going through a lot of bankruptcy issues and money issues. It's a whole mess. So who knows what will happen to that. Maybe they'll just sell the movie to somebody else. And then another movie that was supposed to come out the 18th was called The Unbreakable Boy. And it had this date for a long time. And then like literally a week before it was supposed to come out, it was gone. Vanished. without a trace. And it's just like it boggled my mind. I'm just like, why didn't they release it? Like, what's going on here? Like, am I losing my mind? Like, it's just ugh, it got me annoyed for a little bit. So yeah, those two movies just did not materialize for various reasons for the 18th. So yeah, I thought I wanted to mention that because I thought it was really weird. And now the final weekend of March, the 25th, three movies came out, although I only covered two. The first one was RRR, which was like Rise, Roar, and Revolt, which was like an Indian flick, and Bollywood flick. Now, again, this was not on my radar at all. I didn't predict it because how on earth am I even gonna try to predict something like this? This is even harder than predicting anime movies or like faith-based movies. This is much worse than that. But the movie made a lot of headlines. Well, some headlines because it opened with like 9.5 million in only like 1,200 theaters and like barely any advertising, which is very impressive. Now, this is not the first time a Bollywood movie has done well in the U.S. I mean, back in 2017, a movie called Balabui 2 came out, and it opened with like 10 million. And I thought that was really impressive. I was like, oh, wow, that's really good. And this movie came close to that. Now, this only accounts for its opening weekend. Apparently, the movie dropped like 92% its second weekend, which is just ungodly. But yeah, and its opening weekend was just brutal too. Like 5.4 million, that it felt like over 54% the next day. So that's a real yikes. But for a movie like this that barely got any attention, like any real advertising, this is very impressive. And I guess a running theme this whole month is that we have like three things from like three different countries that are non-American. I mean, we're talking like BTS, South Korea, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, Japan, and RRR, India. I guess, that's proof that you don't need to be American to be successful when it comes to the box office. I mean, that's been true for a long time. I mean, look at Parasite from like 2019. That did really well and won the Oscar too. So, yeah. So, I guess the lesson is don't discount foreign movies or concerts or anything like that. Don't discount international stuff because it can make money. Not all the time, but when it happens, it happens. So now that we're past that, the two movies I did talk about, Infinite Storm and The Lost City. Now, Infinite Storm, I knew without a shadow of a doubt it would die, and it did. I predicted I didn't even predict it would open over $1 million. I'm like, there's no way it'll make that. And surprise, surprise, it didn't. It opened with like $758,000, which is brutal for a movie that opened with like over 1,500 theaters. So that's very bad, obviously. And it's at 1.5 million now. I think I predicted like 2 million. I don't think it's gonna reach that. I think this weekend it's just gonna get yeeted from all of its theaters. All its theaters are just gonna get cut, and it will die very soon after that. So, not surprised. The movie had like no advertising at all anywhere. um, I didn't even know it existed until like a week before it was supposed to come out, which is a really bad sign. And yeah, not surprised about this result. It failed. Big deal. We're moving on. Now, as soon as this loads. Now, the last movie I'm going to talk about in detail for this video is The Lost City, which was considered like the first studio movie, like real studio movie, to come out since the Batman. The Batman been playing for a good 3 weeks at this point, and when the Lost City came out, it was its fourth week. So Lost City had a big advantage. And not to mention, there's been barely any comedies in recent years. I mean, the last one we had was Jackass Forever, and that was like all the way back in February. So with the Lost City, I predicted it between like 30 to 35 million. I thought it had the potential to maybe overperform, maybe do decent, and it hit 30 million. So yay, I was again accurate with that prediction. And so far it's made 58 million after a little more than 2 weeks. I think my final prediction is like 90 million. I don't think it's going to reach that. It'll definitely should at least reach the 80s, which wouldn't be too bad for a movie like this. It only costs like $74 million, which isn't super expensive. I mean, it won't be a massive hit, but it won't be an embarrassment either. So it's definitely got that going for it. And when this is Paramount's like third movie to hit number one this year. Like the first two were Scream 5 and Jackass Forever. So Paramount's been doing pretty decent this year, and they're going to continue to do decent this weekend when Sonic 2 comes out. And at this point in time is guaranteed to make quite a bit of cash. And it should be like at least the second biggest opening weekend of the whole year at this point in time. So yeah, Paramount's been making money. They've been doing great. So congrats to them. But yeah, The Lost City, I wouldn't call it a massive hit, but I wouldn't call it a massive bomb either. So yeah, Lost City, you did okay. You did good enough. So yeah, that's The Lost City. Now, last thing I want to talk about, I'm only going to talk about it briefly because when this movie came out in March, it was limited. It's going to go wide this weekend in April. So we're doing this quickly. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, it came out end of March in like 10 theaters, opened with like 500,000 in 10 theaters, like 50K per theater average, which is good. And then last weekend, spent at like 38 theaters and made like $1 million. So it's making good progress, and it's the first real limited release movie to actually make money, or like at least make a real impact. And the first limited release to do so since like Licorice Pizza, and that was like way back in November of last year. And this movie here, like X, is from A24. So A24, they've been making some headlines with their movies. So again, congrats to them. But yeah, I will talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once when it gets a wide release this weekend. I'll talk about it completely. But right now, I want to talk about the limited numbers, and so far, it's doing really good. And that's it for March. Yeah, just not a whole lot to talk about, but enough to where it wasn't a complete waste of time. And yeah, not much else to say really about March. Besides, I'm glad the Batman did well. I'm glad Jujutsu Kaisen Zero did well, even though I have no interest in it. At least it made money. Uh, um, yeah, there weren't any super embarrassments, like say a Moonfall or anything like that. So there's that at least. So yeah, so that's it for March. Now April is already, it's been here for like a week. So that's the next month I cover. So far it's looking interesting. I mean, Morbius it's on the fast track towards Flopland at the rate it's going. So yeah. And then you got Sonic 2, which I expect to make money. There's Fantastic Beasts 3, which I don't know what'll happen to that. It's like Father Stew, Ambulance, Everything Everywhere All at Once. There's Bad Guys, Northman, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Memory. A lot of stuff happening this month. And it'll be a real interesting video to cover it all because, I mean, we're definitely going to have some highs and we're going to have some lows in April. So, stay tuned for that. But anywho, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? Got playlists on the homepage with all previous recap videos I've done on the channel, from all previous years. So if you want to watch any of those, you can go right ahead. There's also box office predictions where I predict box office for movies. This weekend, I got 3 movies to do. I got Ambulance, I got Sonic 2, I got Everything Everywhere All at Once. Gotta do all those. Then the week after that, I have to do like Father's Stew on Wednesday, then Fantastic Beasts 3 on Friday, and then 3 more movies after that. And then at least 1 more movie after that. So, yeah, it's a lot's happening in the next few weeks. So, stay tuned for all those videos. But if you want to watch any of the past prediction videos I made this year, especially the one I made about Morbius, if you want to watch all those videos, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. When it comes to these March movies, the ones I really covered, I only covered were The Batman. I covered that several times. Um, there's The Batman. There's in the Lost City. I think that's it. I only covered the Lost City like once, and then another time because of the whole Russia-Ukraine situation. Same goes for The Batman. Only cover those movies again because of that. But yeah, that's really about it when it comes to the canceled series. But if you want to watch any of the past canceled episodes I made, all 114 of them now, you can go right ahead. The most recent one I did was about, where is it? I gotta find it. It's all the way in June. A Shotgun Wedding Here. Its theatrical date being canceled and it's gonna go to Amazon Prime Video. And 2 A24 movies got dates. I forgot what they were called. I think Marcel the Shell with the Shoes or something like that, which actually has a trailer now. And another one was literally called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Both getting summer dates. So if you want to watch that video and any of the other canceled episodes I've done on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.